Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about what to do if you ever visit the city of Tbilisi, and I'm also going to talk about a couple of things that you can do around the city as well as in the city. If you're new here, my name is Kiria. I've traveled to over 60 countries in the last 26 years, and I love traveling, talking about travel, so I love it if you leave your notes in the comment below about whether or not you've been to Tbilisi before and if you've done any of these things that I'm about to talk about. All right, let me get my notes here. Got my notes. The first thing is in town, there's so much to do. I mean, I stayed in Tbilisi for 28 days. Actually, no. I stayed in Tbilisi for 30 days and I didn't run out of fun things to do. So as you know, I love to find a place where I can go running or hiking or walking. There's a ton of green spaces in Tbilisi. Let me just list a couple of them here. One of them is Turtle Lake. So you can hike up to Turtle Lake. It's actually quite a nice little hike. You have a really nice view of the city, and I highly recommend it. But if you aren't into hiking, there is also a gondola that takes you up there. So you can take the gondola up there. You can just hang out at the lake. You can go swimming in the lake. You can walk around the lake. It's roughly, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's about 2 kilometers. So that's about 1.25 miles. It's a easy flat walk, and I suggest it. There's coffee shops, ice cream shops, all kinds of different things that you can do. So even if you're not into hiking really, you can go to the lake and have a good time. The other thing, there's another one called Lisi Lake, L-I-S-I, Lisi Lake. That one's a little farther out of the main part of town, but it's also about the same. I think that one's about 3 kilometers or maybe 2 miles around. And again, very flat. I was told by one man there that you couldn't swim in there, but I'm pretty sure that people do swim in that one. I did not swim in that one myself, but I think that you can. So there's also a park called Vake Park, which is actually leading up to Turtle Lake. So if you do hike up to Turtle Lake, you might hike through Vake Park first. You can also hike to Turtle Lake from the Old Town area, which I'm about to talk about in a minute. But you can actually do a very long hike through a few of the attractions that I'm about to mention, including Turtle Lake and Vake Park. So you could do a big circle if you wanted to. But just note, Tbilisi is pretty hilly. So a lot of these places are an uphill climb if you need to get to them, including Lisi Lake and Turtle Lake. So the next thing that you would definitely want to see is the Old Town part of town. Many people will stay in the Old Town part of town, but for me, being there for a whole month, I didn't really want to be in the Old Town. I was about 2.5 miles, so just under 5 kilometers away. And there's a metro, so it's very easy to get down there. There's also a bus system that's very easy to use. However, that's kind of my way of getting exercise. I would run down to the Old Town in the morning and kind of check it out before all the tourists were there, and then run back. And that would be my kind of way of seeing the city. So that was a really nice way to see the city. But if you're staying in that area, it's great to just wander around. There's lots of restaurants, lots of little shops, lots of local shops so you can buy local things. They have this like furry hat that they wear traditionally, and amber, I think, is a thing. And so there's a lot of different traditional things down there as well, but tons of places to eat and drink. And if you're down in the Old Town, you'll also definitely want to check out the Sulphur Baths, and you can go and get a Sulphur Bath. The main one, which has the like domes, that one is kind of the traditional one, but there's another one that looks kind of a little bit like a mosque. It has all the tiles on the front. And I think both of those run anywhere from 100 lari to 200 lari, which this is just off the top of my head, I think is about $35 to $70. So it really depends on if you're going to get a private room, how big the private room is, and what one you're getting, which room you're getting, and then which facility you're using as well. You can use the public baths, and I think those are only like maybe 10 lari or something like that, which is, like $4 or something. So it's up to you. I think in the private ones you can go naked. In the public one, I have no idea what people do. I think that most of the time they wear their clothes. If you get a private room, you can also get like a scrub, which costs extra, but I don't think that it costs that much, maybe 10 to 15 lari. So that is something that a lot of people like to do. I did not do that. I am not really one to sit in hot water for a really long time, so I didn't feel like a whole hour would really be worth it for me, because I would probably only sit in there for 5 minutes and then I'd kind of be done. So I decided not to do it, but that is something that a lot of people do when they're there. Oh, you definitely have to walk up to the Mother of Georgia, which you'll see her because she sits on top of the hill, and she has a sword in one hand and wine in the other. And the legend is that she's the one that greets newcomers into the town And if they're a friend, she gives them wine. And if they're not a friend, she gives them the sword. So up there, there's a couple different churches. There's a ton of churches that you can see. So I'm actually not going to list them all. You'll be able to see them and find them on your own. There's a nice one with the gold dome. There's another one that sits right on the river. And then there's a big one that sits up next to the Mother of Georgia. Those are all easily within walking distance to the Old Town. So if you're staying in that area, you'll definitely be able to go and see all of those. If you're in the Old Town, you're also going to be very close to Liberty Square, which you'll see is a big circle that kind of is the main square area of town. And from there, you can walk up I forgot the name of the road. I'll put it on the screen. It's kind of like spokes. So Liberty Square is a circle, and on one side you have the Old Town, and then on the other side you have this big main like promenade street. And it's totally, I'm blanking right now, but that one is a very popular one to walk along, and there's a couple of churches there and lots of shops and restaurants and stuff, as well as the theater. And so you'll have, it's kind of fun just to stroll along that. A couple of things to note. This street is very large, and so you can't just cross it willy-nilly because it's probably like 4 or 5, 6 lanes wide, but they have underground passages. So it's kind of like being on the turnpike. You need to make sure that you go on the underground passage before your turnoff. Don't keep going, because then you'll have to go quite a while sometimes before you can find the next one. The other thing you might want to go and see is on the other side of the river from the Old Town, there's a whole neighborhood, which is really cool. So one of the things in that neighborhood is Fabrika, which is a hostel, but also it is an old factory. And what they've done is they've made it into a bunch of bars and restaurants and stuff inside the courtyard. So it's like a courtyard type building with the hostel in it, and then around the courtyard is a bunch of bars and restaurants, and so you can go and there's chairs and stuff that you can sit outside. So it's a very popular thing to do, is to go and have a drink there. And there's a lot of expats and digital nomads and things like that there, because Fabrika is kind of a little bit of a nomadic hostel. The other thing that is in Tbilisi a lot is what I might call graffiti, but I think is also called street art or murals. I mean, it varies. It's a very wide array of things. Some of them are really, really nice artwork. I mean, like the detail in them is just awesome. And some of them is basically tags and stuff, but there is a lot of street art in the city, and it's actually quite fun to wander around and look at it all. And like I said, some of it's great, some of it's a little bit less great, but it's sometimes you can tell the person went all over the place in the city. So you'll see some repeats. So it's actually kind of a fun game to try to find the same tag or the same, picture or whatever it is in different parts of the city. And there was one that I really, really liked, and he is all over the Old Town. And I'll put some pictures of him over here in my face right now, but I dare you to find as many as you can of this same artist, because I would say I probably found, at least 40 by this artist. So I don't know if I found all of them. I have no idea how many he has, but I just kept seeing them, and it was great. You can kind of get his style after a while and go, oh, that's that same guy. So let's see if you can find him. I think it was gauche art, something like that. So let's see if you can find him and how many you can find if you go to Tbilisi. I'd love to see your collage of pictures, because I know I have a good one. There were a lot of other ones. There's this one little like cat face with crossed out eyes, and I found that a lot. There's this one guy with like a huge chin, and I found him a lot. But sometimes you're in a completely different part of town and you find art by what you would think is the same person. So that was actually really fun. The other thing I did when I was in town, which I would suggest you do this, I think it cost me like $23, and I got to learn how to make khinkali and khachapuri, which are the two main, dishes that most tourists know about. So khachapuri is the bread with cheese, and khinkali is the dumplings. Usually it has beef, and actually it used to originally have lamb, I think, but it's kind of evolved over time, and now it's mostly beef. But you get to make those on your own, and that's pretty fun. And then you get to eat them and have a little bit of wine with your group. So that was definitely worth it. So speaking of wine, let's talk about what things you can do outside of town. It's really, really easy to get tours in Georgia, and they're not very expensive. So what I did, just a little tip for you, I used Viator, and I also used that with the Rakuten extension. So Viator gives you a little bit of cash back every time you book with them. And then Rakuten right now, as of this filming, which is July 15th, 2025, they're giving 12% back. So you can definitely get a good deal if you book with that and the Rakuten app. So what I did was I booked this tour, which goes to the wine region, and it costs about $24, but I got 12% back on top of that. Plus, I don't know what the Viator cash is, but it's not very much. But let's say maybe I got another 50 cents or $1 there. So it was a very reasonable price. I'll put the link for the tour that I used down below, and so you can use that. And I'll also put the Rakuten link down below as well in case you don't have that on your browser yet. So the wine tour is great because it goes to 2 different wineries. One is a little bit smaller, one is a little bit bigger. And each place you get to try like 5 different wines. So you get to basically have 10 different wine tastings. But they're very lax on, it's not like going to Napa County, let me just tell you, where they charge you and then they give you like that much wine. They'll pretty much fill your glass up again if you want to. So if you want, you can drink a lot. But you also go, before all the wineries, you go to breakfast, which is you get to see how the traditional bread is made, the puri. And so that's really fun. Plus they give you wine there. And then you go to lunch and you get wine with lunch. And that's really fun. So breakfast and lunch are extra. But I would say just do it. I think the lunch was maybe $13 basically, and the breakfast was like $1. So you pay the $24 for the tour plus the $13 for lunch and $1 for the breakfast. Completely worth it. You also get to go to a monastery and also the City of Love. So you get to see a few different things, not just go and drink wine all day. I think that one is completely worth it. There are also a lot of other tours you can do. So for example, I didn't do this, but you can go to the town of Borjomi and go to the mineral water springs, and you can go to the town of Kutaisi and you can go to monasteries there, or you can go to Martvili Canyon there and do rafting or swimming or other things. You can go up to the Kazbegi region, which is mountainous, and have a whole day tour there. So I've already made videos about this. So Borjomi, I did that on my own. Kazbegi, what I did was, I think my tour was about $18. And if I wanted to get transportation on my own, it would have cost me about $6. So I actually did the tour and then just had them leave me at the end in the mountains. And then I made my way back on my own. So I, saved the $6, I guess, maybe, or I paid an extra $12, whatever it was. Anyway, both of them I think are worth it. The Kazbegi tour is all day though. I mean, you leave at like 9 in the morning, you don't get back till like 8 at night. The tour to the wine region, which is called Kakheti, that one you leave at maybe 8:30 or 9 in the morning and you get back at like 6 or 7 p.m. So it is an all day one as well. You can go to Borjomi, and you can go also to a couple of other places that are near there. So that's like a full day tour as well. Or if you go to Kutaisi and Martvili Canyon, that's going to be basically an all-day tour as well. Those places are a little closer. So the wine region, Borjomi, and Kutaisi are only a couple of hours away, whereas some of the other ones are a little bit further. But basically, it's very easy to get a tour, and you can find them for like $50 to $70, if not less, for some of them. So there's really a lot of things to do in the area. You can also get a day trip to Yerevan, Armenia, if you want to. That will be in a future video, but I went there not on a day tour. I went and stayed for a few days, and it was wonderful. So if you're limited on time, though, maybe that's something you want to do. One more thing that I really had a really fun thing doing in Tbilisi was looking for the Italian courtyards. So if you're not familiar with this, basically a lot of the older buildings have an inner courtyard, but you might not know this because if the outer door is closed, you can't see it. But the trick is, if you are walking around and you see a door a little bit cracked, just push it and see what happens, because there are two things. First of all, if it's a building like an apartment building, you'll be able to sometimes go into the entryway, and apparently there was like a contest to see who would have the nicest entryway, and so they decorated them really nice. So sometimes it's just an entryway where the stairs are. Sometimes if you walk into the entryway and you keep going, there's a back courtyard Or sometimes if you open the door, you're going to be right in kind of a hallway and then the back courtyard. And it's really cool because you'll see all the balconies above, and the tenants will hang their laundry from one balcony to another. So if you go in the morning, sometimes you'll see all the laundry hanging like all, different ways, and it's really picturesque. And sometimes they have plants hanging down, and it's really nice. It's a little inner courtyard. So just be courteous, obviously, and respectful and quiet and stuff. But yeah, the courtyards are very, very interesting. So don't be shy to kind of stick your head in if you see something that looks a little bit interesting. All right, so there's a few things that you should do if you're in the Tbilisi area. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And also let me know, have you been to Tbilisi? Did you like it? What did you do? Did you do any of these things that I've talked about? Or did you do anything that I didn't talk about? And if so, what was it? And how was it? Also, if you like this video, please like and subscribe so you'll get more content like this. And thank you for watching, and happy travels. Hi, and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about what to do in the Tbilisi area. Hi, and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about what to do if you ever visit Tbilisi.